This month marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina wreaked havoc on the Gulf Coast of the United States and upended the lives of thousands of people. What made this hurricane so devastating, and are we prepared for future hurricanes, ones that may parallel Katrina or be even more daunting? The 2005 Atlantic hurricane season got off to a quick start, with an unprecedented burst of activity, setting the tone for what would become the most destructive and hyperactive season on record. By early July, the Atlantic had already seen 4 named storms, an extraordinary pace that signaled trouble ahead. Tropical Storm Arlene formed on June 8th, months before the official peak of hurricane season, followed rapidly by Brett, Cindy, and Dennis, the latter becoming the earliest major hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin at that time. Then on August 23rd, Tropical Depression 12 formed over the southeastern Bahamas and trekked westward. It strengthened into a tropical storm, receiving the name Katrina on August 24th, and became a weak hurricane hours before it made its first landfall just north of Miami, Florida on August 25th. Florida's flat geography and it being surrounded by water didn't really weaken Katrina, and the storm emerged over the Gulf of Mexico and regained hurricane status only an hour later. Usually during this time of the year, ocean waters reach their warmest temperatures due to summertime heating. But the Gulf of Mexico was unusually warm this season, and by August 27th, Katrina became a major Category 3 hurricane. During an eyewall replacement cycle, the hurricane weakened, but doubled in size. However, Katrina went through the loop current, a warm ocean current within the Gulf, and rapidly intensified into a Category 5 hurricane, with top sustained winds of 175 miles an hour and a barometric pressure of 902 millibars on August 28th. Due to the Coriolis effect, a deflection of moving objects due to the rotation of the Earth, Katrina started to turn right, northwestward, then eventually northward. The hurricane underwent another eyewall replacement and weakened to a strong Category 3 storm just before it made its second landfall on August 29th near Burris Triumph, Louisiana, and then a third and final landfall near the Louisiana and Mississippi border. Although weakened from a Category 5 hurricane, Katrina's size allowed hurricane-force winds to extend outward 120 miles, and its pressure at 920 millibars was extremely strong. Due to this, Katrina produced a catastrophic storm surge of 28 feet, the highest ever recorded for a hurricane in the United States. This surge inundated areas of the Gulf Coast, including the city of New Orleans, which saw severe breaches of its levee system. Geographically, much of the city lies below sea level and relies on levees and flood walls to keep out surrounding water from Lake Pontchartrain, the Mississippi River, and nearby canals. As Katrina's surge pushed in from the Gulf of Mexico, several levees and flood walls failed, most notably along the 17th Street Canal, London Avenue Canal, and the Industrial Canal. These breaches allowed water to rush into low-lying neighborhoods, and because the city's pump systems were disabled by flooding and power loss, the water remained trapped for weeks, thus creating a major humanitarian crisis, the likes of which the United States has never experienced in modern times. The aftermath of Hurricane Katrina became a dire situation. In New Orleans, entire neighborhoods sat underwater for weeks, forcing hundreds of thousands of people from their homes, many of them with nothing but the clothes on their backs. All across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, the storm wrecked or severely damaged more than 1 million homes and buildings, and crippled roads, bridges, utilities, and other vital infrastructure. But one thing stood out. The human toll was staggering. Over 1,800 lives were lost, most in Louisiana. Many people drowned when floodwater quickly engulfed homes, especially in low-lying neighborhoods of New Orleans after the levees failed. Some were trapped in attics or upper floors with no way to escape as the water rose. Others died from injuries caused by collapsing buildings, flying debris, or being swept away by powerful currents. This made Katrina the third deadliest hurricane in American history, after the Galveston hurricane in 1900 in the Okeechobee hurricane of 1928. For modern times, this was indeed unprecedented. In addition, the Louisiana Superdome became one of the most haunting symbols of Hurricane Katrina's aftermath. Before the storm hit, city officials designated it as a shelter of last resort for residents who couldn't evacuate, especially those without cars, the elderly, and medically vulnerable people. Around 15,000 to 20,000 people crowded inside as Katrina made landfall. While the Superdome itself withstood the hurricane's winds, parts of its roof were torn away, rain poured in, and the building lost power and air conditioning. With the city flooded and rescue efforts slowed, evacuees were trapped there for days in sweltering heat, with limited food, water, and sanitation. Toilets overflowed, garbage piled up, and the stench was overwhelming. Medical care was minimal, and reports of violence, theft, and fear spread through the packed dimly lit stadium. Was the federal, state, and local governments to blame for Hurricane Katrina? That's a question with a complex and troubling answer. While Katrina was a natural disaster, numerous reports and investigations concluded that the catastrophic failures in preparation and response were a man-made disaster. The levee system, a federal responsibility, was known to be flawed and did fail. At every level, from local to federal, there was a shocking lack of coordination and communication. The most damning criticism fell on the federal government's slow and disorganized response. FEMA, in particular, was widely seen as unprepared and paralyzed by bureaucracy, delaying essential aid to hundreds of thousands of people trapped in the city. The government didn't just fail to act, it actively worsened the crisis. In the end, Katrina exposed systemic failures and a devastating lack of foresight that left the most vulnerable citizens to fend for themselves. It's not a question of if, but when the next comparable hurricane to Katrina will hit the Gulf Coast. In the last 20 years, many major hurricanes have hit the Gulf Coast, with Hurricane Ida being the last Category 3+ storm to strike in August 2021. And a year before, Hurricane Zeta directly affected New Orleans as a Category 3 storm. However, Zeta's size was considerably smaller and thus produced a significantly lower storm surge for the city. While Katrina was an unusually strong hurricane and considered a once-in-a-lifetime event, the Gulf of Mexico is geographically capable of producing similar to even stronger storms. Due to its low latitude and enclosed geography, the Gulf heats up quickly, and near the peak of the hurricane season, sea surface temperatures reach the upper 80s to low 90s. If atmospheric conditions are just right, the Gulf of Mexico gives plenty of fuel for tropical storm development. And to add more insult to injury, the Gulf Coast, especially areas from eastern Texas to the panhandle of Florida, are right in the bullseye for direct impacts from hurricanes. Due to hurricanes forming in the tropical latitudes and then turning right and northward thanks to the Coriolis effect. Another unfortunate human geographical fact is that the states of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama are among the poorest U.S. states. And because of this, issues such as poverty, health, and income inequality add fuel to the fire. And getting back to New Orleans, the city is both a marvel and a gamble of human settlement. Its location near the mouth of the Mississippi River made it a brilliant hub for trade and culture, fueling its growth for centuries. Yet this advantage comes at a steep cost. Much of the city lies below sea level, built on sinking delta soil, and is in the direct path of hurricanes. Without levees, pumps, and constant engineering, the surrounding waters from the Gulf, river, and the lake would reclaim it, making New Orleans a city forever balancing between prosperity and peril. But these infrastructural projects must be maintained and modernized to counter the effects of potentially worse hurricanes than Katrina. Do you think that the American Gulf Coast is prepared for future large hurricanes? I'd love to hear your opinion, so please leave your feedback in the comment section below. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like learning about the world, you found the right channel. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Urban to Earth, to view more videos. Until next time.